spring's early ones, and again, we're not happy. I would be cutting them here, cutting these leaves off. Most of you know how to do this, right?
Does anybody not know how to do cutting? Maybe you could do like a demo.
Is there anybody that doesn't? Yeah.
So people could come up real
Sure.
close and see.
This one is probably a better one. Southgate is my enemy. It dies. I don't care. And I know Marilyn loves it. Every time I plant this thing, the leaves drop off. She's got shade. I don't. But Southgate is a pretty plant. It's kind of like pink marshmallow. And when people ask me how hardy it is or sun or shade, I say that fuchsias are like people. More olive complected people are more like the oranges and the reds. But the pale Irish complexions are the ones that get skin cancer. You know, they call that the Irish disease in Australia. They're the pale pinks and the whites. They don't like the sun. Well, if people think about it in terms of their own complexion, they go, oh. In other words, you can't put a pink marshmallow in full sun. It just wilts. But you could put an orange or blue eyes or dark eyes because they've got more color pigment in them.
I have a little story about that, Robin.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of hanging baskets out on shepherd hooks, and we all know what the weather's been like. So the leaves were dull, not shiny. And so I went to the store and bought some beach umbrellas and covered them, and I promise you the next day the leaves were shiny.
Yes.
The next day, that's how much they appreciated that shade.
And would you cover them with?
Just beach umbrellas.
Yeah, I've got one over my tomatoes because they keep dying. And you remember Wanda Wanda and Weeping Willie? Remember that? That's a long time ago. It would go, ooh, and she'd water it, and I'd go, ooh. That's how mine are. Okay, so I'm going to pretend you don't remember her. Wanda Wanda?
Wanda. You didn't grow up. If you didn't grow up here, you don't know.
Oh, okay. She was a TV clown before they had all the cartoons. And every time she'd water, the plant would pop back up. Is there anybody that doesn't know how to make a cutting? Because I'm not going to waste our time if we don't, which we do.
Well, I was wondering, do you buy a plant specifically to take cuttings from?
Sometimes. But like these were the Fred Myers 75 cent ones. It just didn't do well. So here's a cutting, and here's a cutting, and here's a cutting. And now, the theory is, I have 6. Of course, in this weather, not necessarily. And now I'll have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 more shoots instead of one ugly plant. You know, sometimes I do, yeah. If I
And did you say that this is not a good time?
this time, okay, here. Because of the heat.
It's just too hot.
This one is violet. I'm sorry about that chewed up label, but violet is a beautiful little purple and white. I love it. This was full and they were all growing, and I come out in the morning and we see they're damped off because I overwatered to compensate for the heat now. So I'm doing something nasty to them, they're just dying. And
It's just the wrong time.
yeah, it's the wrong time of the year, but if you're already pruning,
But if you're crazy like me, then you end up with 200 or 300 cuttings.
so here you go. You know, just stick them in a pot. I put 3 or 4 in one. I usually put them in the corners of these. And if I'm using something like this, I usually keep one plant.
And you label
The good, yeah, exactly.
Do you cut your leaves in half?
I do most of the time, yeah. And but these are small. But if you're putting them out in a thin one like this, you cut the leaf off. Because there's 2 reasons for that. It stimulates the growth on the bottom, but when this touches the soil, it botrytis, that nasty gray thing that's getting everything. And that's about it. Another thing I do with my English plants and my little plants now, I see a little, my poor niece, she's just dying to move away. She just can't stand the way I garden. I use the little pie tins under them. So then if it's really hot, I fill that full of water. And I've got also roasting pans. You know, they're $1 at the dollar store now. The turkey pans, they'll hold 6. So I fill those up with water, because I don't have a lot of shade. But this is the most interesting way to start cuttings. I found an old Sunset magazine once, and I was just going through it. I was in someplace where I had nothing else to read, and it had an article on growing fuchsias, and they said that a potato was a good growing medium.
What?
Well, you stick a hole in it. It's got moisture, it's got protein.
Careful.
Yes.
Yeah. But see, you just kind of stick them in there.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was fascinating. This is after world, this is like,
And then you can write on the potato.
there you go. You write the name of the
Did they
potato.
say how to, when you then cut it up and just pop the potato?
Well, I don't think you bake it first.
Oh, you're
But see, with a big one, you can do a whole bunch. I thought that was,
Have you done that?
Did they grow?
I did it once, but you know, it looks a little strange.
But did they grow?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I, you know,
So,
and one more thing, I'm not organized like you, but being random. When you're starting potting soil, something I noticed they're not doing as much. My mother was a really wonderful gardener, and she grew geraniums. In fact, she'd go for a walk and say, that plant needs pruning. I know, she was a preacher's wife. It was very embarrassing. She put sand in her potting soil. Not a lot, but sand, because it puts the water. And I think that's what's been going wrong with my cuttings. They're waterlogged. And I thought that was interesting, and I'd forgotten about that. So our potting soils that we get have vermiculite, but a little bit of sand. Not the, it's what the builder's sand.
Coarse, you want a
Coarse.
coarse sand, yeah, coarse wash sand or something.
Yeah, and if you put a dish under them in this hot weather, you make the soil just a little bit coarser. You don't have as much trouble. But anyhow, when you prune your plant, you might as well try to make a cutting, right? The only problem with a cutting this time of year, you got to keep it over till next spring. Unless you can get it so big you can bring it to the sale. So that's kind of all I have.